everyone, this is Kristie with AG Takes Over. Glad you're here. Settle in. This one's probably going to be a longer video. I've been wanting to do this for a few years actually, and the longer I put it off, the longer I realized it's going to be because it's a comparison of all the big ticket items that we have for 18-inch dolls. And we have a lot. So technically not a comparison of all of them, but it's a comparison of 24 of them, which is a lot. I'm going to list all of the ones that I'll be comparing today, and I will then tell you the ones that we own that I'm not comparing. And then I will tell you what categories I'm looking at, and then I'll dive in. So, deep breath. It's Our Generation and American Girl. That's just the big ticket items the brands that we happen to have. So I'm going to compare the Our Generation Greenhouse, the Stable, the Retro Diner, the Classroom, the Ice Cream Truck, and the Ambulance. That's it for Our Generation. And then the American Girl items will be the Welly Wisher Playhouse, the Local Bean Cafe Coffee Shop, the Pet Boutique, Blaire's Restaurant, Grace's Bakery, Claudie's Bakery, aka Angelo's Bakery, Melody's Recording Studio, the Airplane, Tenney's Stage, Corinne's Bedroom, the Grand Hotel, Leah's Hut, the Pool/Pools, the Hotel and Spa, Lila's Stable, Luciana's Mars Habitat, Maryellen's Diner/Diners, and Maryellen's Airstream. I own Kira's Hut, but it is still in box, so I won't be reviewing that one or comparing it in this list. And then there are some things that people consider big ticket items, and it's really hard to say what is the criteria. Is it size? Is it cost? Is it, I don't know, completeness? But I am not reviewing or comparing beds, the city market, the kitchen, the ski chalet from Corinne's collection, the World by Us community centerpieces, the red RC car, the bowling alley, the Our Generation Jeep we have, the tents we have, or the American Girl Cafe. We own all of those things, but I'm just not including them in here for various reasons. But just to keep the video not too crazy, we'll just say I'm not, and that's enough. And then let's take a look at the categories I'll be looking at. Availability, like, is the thing available new still? Is it retired? And if it is retired, is it hard to come across? Cost, and I'm going to divide that into a range of, is it available for $1 to $99, $100 to $199, $200 to $299, $300 to $399, or $400 and up. Next, so there will be like dollar symbols to indicate how expensive it is. Next category will be quality of the materials, quality of the set itself. And then two specific categories that I'm looking at are play value and photography value. I'll also be giving dimensions of them. And then based on the stars and dollar signs and everything that I gave in each category, I'll be calculating an overall rating and telling you which ones are the top ones and the bottom scoring ones. And then I'll tell you my top 5 favorites or so, not in order, but just top 5 faves, which may or may not be the top 5 highest scoring ones. And then I'll kind of give a recap of like tallest and shortest, widest and narrowest, deepest and shallowest, best and worst quality, best and worst play value, best and worst photography value, most and least expensive, and highest and lowest average overall scores. So pretty analytical. If you like to nerd out to this kind of stuff, you're in the right place. I'm going to start with the Our Generation greenhouse. If I remember correctly, it's called the Room to Grow greenhouse. I'm going to be putting pictures up, obviously, so you have something to look at while I am saying all these things. This is currently still available from Our Generation as of fall of 2024, and it retails for $129.99 US. So that would be a $2 symbol in terms of expensive. As far as the quality of materials, it is all plastic, but it's sturdy. I'm giving it 3 stars. I would score it higher if the plants and the stones and the like building materials weren't all so monotone. I think that's where they really could have stepped it up with this item. That's what I did when I gave it a glow up, and I'll try to remember to link the video where I gave this a glow up in the description. Next, I was considering the greenhouse's play value. It is a bit small on the inside, but one thing that I like about it is you can pull out pieces, like there's a small side table or the work table to kind of expand that play area. It has lights and sounds. It's got crickets and an interior light, and I think a doorbell and some fireflies that glow on the outside. So it's pretty interactive. And one thing that I like is it's really easy to add off brand items to kind of bulk it up, I guess. Like you can get fake flowers and plants from anywhere. And then the watering can and the hose can encourage play outside of the structure. So again, like making it take up a little more space, give you a little more room. You can kind of extend that play to beyond the structure. And then it does have a door that allows dolls to pass through, and little kids are fans of that. So yeah, 4 stars out of 5 for play value. In terms of photography value, as I said, it's a bit small, but I love that you can take pictures through that window. I think that it's a rare thing to find a big ticket item with a legit window. So that is nice. And you can also use this indoors or outdoors pretty easily. It's not huge and heavy. So if you want to make it, take it outside and take your pictures out there, I think that's really easy to do. So yeah, 4 stars for photography value as well. If you're wondering about the size, if you're standing in front of it, depth wise, 18 inches, width 22 inches, and height 20.5 inches. So a little room over the doll's head, but not a lot. It would certainly feel claustrophobic for us if we were standing in a room with a ceiling that low to our heads, but this is very typical for doll items, right? Averaging a score based on the cost, the quality, the play value, and the photography value out of 5 stars, it got 3.75. Next up is the Our Generation Stable. Now, I have upcycled mine, and I'm putting a picture or two in here so you can see. I will try to link the video in the description for that. But because we have that stable, I at least wanted to give an overview of the stable. So it is still available, but the the aftermarket, Facebook Marketplace has plenty of these. So it's $89.99 US new, but you can get it for easily less than that on Marketplace. So I would say it's going to be in that $1 to $99 range regardless, but it can be lower if you're willing to buy it used. Quality of materials. The stable is wood for that price. I mean, American Girl can't say the same. So yeah, the fact that it is all wood is fantastic. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it 4 stars just for that, just for the fact that it is so uncommon these days to find something that is devoid of plastic. I mean, it has the hooks on it are plastic, but it is primarily wood. And all of the staples that I can think of in American Girl's history have more plastic than this one. All right. For play value, I'm also giving it 4 stars. The gates open and close. There are removable stall walls, which I think is helpful because you could play with this with multiple small ponies or one large horse, or you could even make it a place for other farm animals like cows and pigs, etc. It comes with an optional fence so you can extend the space. I just think that anybody who enjoys horses would be happy playing with this. In terms of photography value, this is speculation because I have only used it indoors, but I imagine that as long as you took it outside, the stable would look pretty legit and it would make for good pictures. Like I said, I've used it indoors, and whatever walls are behind it are visible. So the pictures do have that limitation if you use it indoors. In terms of size, it's 12 inches deep, 24 and a quarter. Some of these are estimations. Some of them are taken from websites. Some of them are my measurements, and some of them, the things were kind of under the table and out of the way, so I had to do the best I could. Anyway, 12 inches deep, 24 and a quarter wide and 21 inches tall. And it rated pretty well. It was one of the top rating, I'll just spoiler alert, at 4.25 stars out of 5. Next, we're going to look at the Our Generation Retro Diner. The diner is retired, but it's very easy to find secondhand in varying degrees of completeness. I turned mine into a Starbucks. Again, I will link that video in the description, but since we own this, I wanted to talk about it. So I would say you can get this definitely for under $100 for sure. Just check on Marketplace. Typically you can get it for $30 to $40 in like mostly complete, or at least with a lot of the accessories. In terms of quality, I'm going to give it 3. I would give it 3.5 stars, but I decided against half stars. Yes, it is all plastic, but it has some moving pieces, the shutters, the display case turn, the interior part of that turns, the door opens and shuts. It's got a counter gate that lifts and lowers, a lot of accessories. There are sound effects. There's a little jukebox on the table that you can push buttons and hear music. So yeah, decent attention to detail. I'll give it 3 stars. In terms of play value, 4 stars. It is on the small side, as Our Generation items often are, but because there's no roof to it, children and adults alike will have easy access. Of course, the thought of getting 2 American Girl dolls to sit in that booth is comical. I mean, it can be done, but it's tricky, and it would be even trickier for a child. But you can have one behind the counter, one sitting, and a couple placing their orders. The stools aren't holding anyone, but they're easy to move. And the piece is fun to customize. So you can definitely increase its play value with a little elbow grease if you customize it to your child's interests. I've seen people do a lot of different things DIY wise with this. In terms of photography value, I'm going to give it 3 stars. It is great for close up pictures, but because there aren't walls on all sides, if you zoom out a bit, you can see whatever is beside it. And in this case, taking it outside wouldn't solve that problem. Like, the stable, that solves the problem, but it really wouldn't help here. Size wise, it is 12 inches deep, 29 inches wide, and 21 inches tall. It had an overall rating, once I averaged everything together, of 3.75, same as the greenhouse. Next is the Our Generation Classroom. This is still available. It is $149.99 US new. It is easily much cheaper on Facebook Marketplace. But again, various stages of completeness. If you want to make sure that the lights and the sound are working, that's going to eliminate some of those. So yeah, I'm going to put it in the $1 to $2 bill signs because it could run you that 100 to 199 range, but you could also easily get it for under 100. In terms of quality, 3 stars. Yes, it does come with a lot of accessories, and I love that, but it doesn't feel nearly as sturdy to me as the greenhouse. Whenever I've carried this thing, I feel like, it might break, it might fall apart. It just doesn't feel sturdy. I do, though, appreciate the lights, the moving blinds, the windows that open, the sound effects, which on mine don't work because I got it used and broken for $7. But predictably, all plastic, 3 stars. In terms of play value, 4 stars. I do appreciate that there is no roof to this one as well. I personally don't think of this as a classroom because what classroom fits only 2 to 3 students? I will usually call it a tutoring room because that makes a lot of sense. It's a place where a few students at a time can go study and get some extra support, and the size is right for that. Like the greenhouse, I think this lends itself to adding whatever you want from different brands, or even just like the Target Dollar Tree section or dollar section. I'd say this is meh in quality, but has a lot of play value for kiddos. And for what it's worth, my daughter uses it with her American Girl dolls, but also with her Welly Wishers, her Barbies, and even her much smaller Bluey figures. So yeah. Photography value, I'm going to say 4 stars out of 5. I think this piece is far less visually appealing than a lot of our other big ticket items, but in terms of pictures, there are walls on 3 of the sides and it's open on the top so it lets in light. It's easy enough to take pictures where you don't see anything but the inside of the classroom, which is helpful. And you can take pictures from overhead or through the door, which I've done before, and I'll put a picture of up here. Size-wise, it's 21 inches deep, so it's the deepest of the 4 that I've covered so far, 28 inches wide, and 20 inches tall. Overall rating averaged out is 3.875 stars. Next up is the Our Generation ice cream truck. This one is still available new. It's $119.99 new. You can easily get it for $50 on Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to give it 3 stars in terms of quality. Yes, it is all plastic, but it's sturdy enough to have withstood my child through her toddlerhood. And I think the most at-risk pieces are, in terms of getting broken, are the windshield wipers and the side mirrors. In terms of play value, um, 4 stars, maybe I even should have gone 5 stars on this. Like, kids have fought over this at our home. We have literally hidden it when too many kids are coming over. My little one used to climb in this all the time, like her whole body, and it cracked me up. Again, it's easy to build onto it. You can add a picnic table or a table and chairs near it, and then bam, you've got your dining area. You can put in different foods to make it a food truck. I know they sell a separate food truck, but you can easily convert this into one. I have seen somebody turn it into a mobile library. Like, there are so many possibilities. I definitely recommend this one over Jenny's truck from the Jenny's truck from American Girl for its versatility, because that one will only ever be able to be an ice cream truck, and this can be so much more if you want it to. In terms of photography value, 5 stars. For sure. This is such an easy one to take outside, and it looks so cute. And I love how you can have it closed up, or you can fold down this kind of L-shaped part, and it will not only give you more access to natural light for the inside and make it easier to play with, but it also makes a nice spot for customers to line up and go to the front and get their ice cream. And I forgot to mention, in terms of play value, it does have moving pieces like the windshield wipers. If you turn the hand or if you turn the steering wheel, the blinkers will come on, make a clicking sound, and actually blink. It's got some music. Yeah, it's very interactive. Size-wise, it's 16 inches deep. So, like, if you're lined up going to place your order and you consider that like the front, then 16 inches deep, 24 inches wide, and 21 inches tall. And it had a 4.25 overall rating once I averaged things out. The last Our Generation piece before we move on to AG is the ambulance, and it is retired. I just did a quick search and I found 8 of them on Facebook Marketplace. That's where I'm trying to that's the one place I'm using, since these are big ticket items. I figure most people aren't going to think about availability adding if they're thinking about availability, they're not thinking, "Oh, what would I have to pay to ship this monstrosity, this gigantic thing to my home?" They're thinking, "Is it available to me locally?" Right? If it's a retired item. So I've been checking Facebook Marketplace. I put a search radius of like 59 miles. But if you ever shop on Facebook Marketplace, the algorithm is whack. Like, it'll be like, here are your results, and it's something 3 states over. So it makes no sense. So I did a quick search and found 8 of them on Facebook Marketplace, but not all of them were near enough to me that I would be able to go and get it. Anyway, it was $139.99 new. Prices on Facebook Marketplace, when I checked just now, ranged from $10 to $355, so some people are crazy. The average was $70, but there were several available for $50. I paid $20 for mine, and it was almost complete. In terms of quality, I'm going to give this one 3 stars, same feedback as the ice cream truck, essentially. In terms of play value, I gave the ice cream truck 4, but I'm only giving this one 3. I think this one has less play value. I love on the one hand, that our generation sells all these extra sets so that you can build on this and have like a whole medical center. They got gurneys and, first aid and all kinds of medical sets that you can buy. But the gurney barely fits in the truck, in the back of the truck. And in a real ambulance, you would have at least one EMT or paramedic in the back with the patient. With this one, you can't do that. So you can have two dolls up front, but in the back, you have to choose between having a patient lying down or having a medic back there because it really doesn't fit both. And unlike the ice cream truck, which has that L-shaped piece that you can close to have a complete truck, or you can open it to have a wall and a ceiling suddenly become accessible, this one permanently just has a side wall missing. So the space to get your hands in is smaller, but if you're driving it around, the truck totally looks incomplete. I definitely prefer the design of the ice cream truck. And I wish they would have done the same design for this. I don't know why they didn't. That said, I do think this is cool. And since kids tend to love simulating and treating and curing injuries and illness, I'm sure that most kids would still enjoy this just plenty. For photography value, I only gave it 2 stars. I gave 5 to the ice cream truck, but for very close shots, the photography value is here, but also the closer you get, the less convincing it's going to be because it's just, cheap plastic. It's an easy enough piece to take outside, just like the ice cream truck, but the missing sidewall ruins any illusion in terms of photography. I just wish they'd made it more like the ice cream truck with that kind of L-shaped piece. Size-wise, it's very similar, 16 inches deep, a little bit wider, according to the specs anyway, 27.5, it says wide, and the same height, 21 inches. Average score was 3.25, whereas the ice cream truck was 4.25. Moving on to American Girl stuff, but starting with Welly Wisher. We have the Welly Wisher Playhouse. It is retired. I just did a quick search and found 8 of them on Facebook Marketplace. It used to be $250, but the prices on Facebook Marketplace range from $50 to $300. The average is $100, and I believe that's what I paid for ours. So, yeah, not bad. In terms of quality, I'm giving it 4 stars. Yes, there are lots of printed images, like for the flooring and the wall decor and everything, but the loft part has real curtains on a rod so they can be moved around. It's made of wood, it's very sturdy, and I think that this thing could easily be passed down through multiple children and still stand the test of kids. In terms of play value, 4 stars. I wouldn't necessarily expect this to have a strong, sustained draw to kids because it's really basic, but it has what kids want. They want a door that their dolls can knock on and walk through. They want an open enough space that they can move their toys around in it. They want some hooks and some shelves and some movable pieces and, a little sleep area. Plus, there aren't many Welly Wisher size big ticket items. So I think that this is great if you get it mostly complete at a decent price. Next piece is the coffee shop. This is still available new. It's kind of pricey at $280. I have only seen one on Facebook Marketplace used actually for super cheap, like $40. And if we didn't already have it, I would have snatched that up so fast. But it's not common at this point to find it on Marketplace. For quality, I'm giving it 4 stars. It is a combination of wood and plastic, and there is some metal there. Um, the chair, the stool legs, and I think a few other pieces are metal. The espresso machine is the coolest thing. Like, not only does it have sound effects, but it produces quote unquote steam just by putting water in it. The chairs are basically just for decoration. The food has the same level of detail as our generation, so it's not particularly impressive, but I do think it's a high quality playset. I have definitely seen American Girl sell lower quality big ticket items for more money, so not bad. Play value, I'm also giving it 4 stars. I think this set is so fun. Like, my little one geeked out over the espresso machine. I like that the menu has 2 sides, the, like, big wall menu. Um, a blind AG tuber has this set, and I watched her review of it, and she loved how accessible it was. She said, the grooves where certain things belong makes it easier to put it in the right place and harder to knock over. There's just lots of little details. Um, Double-sided play, etc. I know that some parents get annoyed. I don't really understand this, but I know some parents are annoyed that a company targeting kids has a coffee shop. But most of us with kids have probably taken them inside a coffee shop. It doesn't mean that we're giving them coffee. It does mean, though, that they might like to play with this set because it reflects part of their life and the memories that they're already making with us, their parents. That's not a bad thing. As far as photography value, I'm also giving it 4 stars. As long as you have a doll room to put this in, pictures are great. It's not as easy as the ice cream truck or the stable because you can't simply take it outside. But if you don't have an actual dollhouse, you could make a foam board room. I will put a link in the description to a tutorial of how to do that for super cheap. Um, or you could use a bookshelf, etc. Like you have options. All you need are some walls around it, and it will make it feel like a real room, and it'll be a recipe for great pictures. Also, it's more a combination of a few medium-sized pieces than one giant piece. So I think that that is helpful also, that you can kind of move it around as it fits you best. In terms of size, and I feel like maybe I skipped size on the Welly Wisher thing, so I might go back and put that in there. Um, but it is 23 inches deep, 13 inches wide, and 22 and a half inches tall at its highest point, and had an average rating of 3.75. Next up is the Pet Boutique. You can tell, I hope you can tell, that I wrote out notes. I did all my research. I had all this stuff ready to go because there's no way I could wing it with this. There's so much to cover. All right, so the Pet Boutique is retired. I don't come across it very often on the secondhand market, but I did a search just now and Facebook Marketplace showed 6. Doesn't mean that they were all close enough to me to get, just that that's what came up. New, it was $250. Prices on Facebook Marketplace averaged $170 when I checked. I paid $85 for ours, darn near complete, like 95% or better. So you may luck out if you're just patient and keep looking. In terms of quality, 4 stars. I feel like I need to say 4 stars, but by today's standards with all of these, because next to Samantha's ice cream parlor, where things were wood and metal and only a little plastic, this wooden plastic combination would not impress. But it is solid, and I like how much is included with it. There are some paper certificates and stickers and toys and foods and tanks with lights and birds that tweet and the checkout stand, etc. So, yeah, I think it's a decent quality piece, especially if you can get it cheaper. Um, in terms of play value, I have it at 4 stars. We don't have the Our Generation Vet Clinic, so I'm not sure how they would compare in terms of play value, but it is double-sided and it's not walled in, so there's a lot of flexibility. You can have plenty of dolls and animals in it, and you could use add-on sets like a grooming set, dog bathing. It's also 4 stars. This is pretty much just like a 4-star piece across the board. Um, it gets 4 stars for photography value. So theoretically, everything I said about the coffee shop applies to the pet boutique. I will say I think that the coffee shop is a little bit more visually interesting and I just personally like it better. But both of them make for good pictures as long as you can surround the set with walls to give it that sense that it's an actual enclosed space. Depth on this one is 11.5 inches. Um, Width is 15 inches, and at its highest point, it's 21 inches, and it had an average of 4 stars. Next up is Blaire's Restaurant. This is retired. I don't see it very often on the secondhand market. Well, I see it, but it's either very incomplete or complete and very expensive. If it's mostly complete and reasonably priced, it's going to get snatched up quickly. um, as an example, I just did a Facebook Marketplace search and there were 5, but none of them were even in my state. So, yeah, it's harder to come by. Um, it was $300 new We got ours used and complete and paid more than that. So this is one of the few times when we paid more than retail, $360. The 5 that I just found on Marketplace range from 200 to 400 with an average of 295. So maybe we should have waited and we could have gotten a better price, but also remember I said none of those 5 were in my state. So finding the combination of it's close enough to you, it has most or all of its pieces, and it's a reasonable price is kind of, really asking the stars to align just right. So we are okay, and I'm still okay that we paid what we paid for it. In terms of quality, 4 stars. I love this for the design and the color scheme. The materials leave a bit to be desired. Mainly, I wish the benches were wood because they are so light and they slide all over the place, and it makes it hard to put dolls on them. The table is incredibly light too. Um, I wish that the pergola were a bit taller, and it would be really nice if the string lights worked. Um, it would also be nice if the oven and the stove had any sound effects or lights, but they do not. So that's why I'm giving it 4 instead of 5. And 4 might, I don't know, 4 might be generous if we're just talking quality of materials. Play value, I'm going to put 3. I feel conflicted. The fact that this is a restaurant with a separate kitchen and seating area makes me feel like it should be 4 stars, right? But there are several reasons I'm not giving it 4. First, it is super difficult to get them to sit on the benches, and I imagine that's even harder if you're a kid. Like I said, there are no sound effects or lights in the whole kitchen or restaurant. And there's this weird space in the corner of the kitchen where you can either slide a kitchen appliance in, or like one of the counter pieces in, and then it gets blocked by the other piece that it butts up against, or you just have this big hole in the corner. And I know there are collectors who have fashioned like a block with a fake counter to put in that hole. Like, I want to do this at some point. But as a design, like, it's a design flaw for something that costs so much. And it means that also there's less space there to put extra goodies, like to put things on a countertop because the countertop is missing there. So, yeah, I'm going to say 3. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it should be 4. In terms of photography value, I'm going to say 3, and I don't feel conflicted. Like, here's the thing. Indoors, I would give this 2 stars, and that would feel generous. Um, Outdoors, I would easily give it 4 stars because it is meant to be an outdoor restaurant. But when you set it up indoors, it is very evident that it is inside. And unlike the ice cream truck, this is kind of a bit of an undertaking to lug this whole thing and all its accessories outside. So that's why I split the difference and I gave it 3 stars. I'm going to say, hold on, 3 stars overall rating when I averaged them together. And the depth was 23 inches, width was 36, and height was 24 at the highest part. That brings us to Grace's Bakery. This is retired and it's hard to find. If it is complete and not outrageously priced, somebody is going to snatch it almost instantly. It is the most expensive item on my list. It was $500 new, which it makes it one of the most expensive big ticket items they've ever sold. If not, well, Joss's van might have been more expensive, but up there, right? Definitely top 3. Um, it was 500 new, but it is not uncommon at all for this thing to go for 1,200 or more. I found 3 listings just now on Facebook Marketplace. One was 1,200, one was 1,500, and one was 1,800. So my wife got it, if I remember correctly, for $630, and that was actually a great deal. I know that sounds crazy because you're like $130 more than retail for something used, but it was delivered to us from somebody who happened to be coming into the state for some unrelated reason. And so we didn't have to pay shipping. We didn't have to take a gamble that it would get damaged in shipping. And it was $630. So yeah, it's pricey. But I think in terms of quality, 5 stars. And it is one of the only items, one of like 3 items that I gave 5 stars to in terms of quality. I think it is probably the nicest non-historical big ticket item that AG has made. It's heavy. It's mostly wood. There's plenty of plastic, There's some metal. There's no lights or sound effects or anything, but there's loads of accessories and there is a decent amount of detail. It's just a massive, very well done piece. In terms of play value, I'm also giving it 5 stars. Um, the space above, you can get at things from over top. There are these 2 doors that open up wide, which, extends the play space and really gives you a nice open space to get in and move things around. There's signage that you can change up. There's a side window that customers can walk up to. There's a stand that you can put food, you can move foods around on. And this is really important. And I know it doesn't come with it, but the fact that AG made a lot of what I'm going to call expansion packs that went with it. Like you can get the bistro table and chair, or you could get the like mobile bakery cart that went like that matched it. You didn't have to buy those things, but you could expand this piece even more. And no, I can't justify some of the going rates for this bakery, but it is one of the most elaborate modern pieces that American Girl has made, and it is as kid-friendly as it is beautiful. The one drawback I see is a lack of workspace, considering it's supposed to be where the items are baked. Like, on what prep table are they making these things and rolling out the dough? It really doesn't have a counter space. So functionally, I think that is a big oversight. In terms of photography value, I'm only giving it 3 stars. So I think this piece is gorgeous, but I will tell you, my wife gets so frustrated whenever she tries to take pictures of this, in this space. From almost every single angle, you can either see the walls or surrounding items or the mirror and the reflection that's in the mirror in the middle of the back wall. She was recently getting frustrated about just this just this piece, and she said that on Instagram, an account called Bite Sized Baguette has created a setup for this. I'll try to find a picture and put it up here, for this piece that makes the surroundings feel really cohesive. But I do think that that is a big undertaking, and not everyone can manage that. Not everybody has the space to accommodate that or the ability to create what Bite Size Baguette has created. So, for photography purposes, unfortunately, I'm just going to give it 3 stars. In terms of size, it is 16.5 inches deep, 38 inches wide when the doors are closed. It like balloons to 65 inches wide when the doors are extended all the way open, and it is 29 inches tall. Like, this is a massive piece. 3.5 stars overall. It's losing stars. Its rating goes down because of how cost prohibitive it is and because of the photography value, but it did get 5 stars on 2 other categories, so 3.5. Next is Claudie's Bakery, or Angelo's Bakery, however you choose to refer to it. It is still available new from American Girl at $295 unless you wait and get it on sale. The quality, I'm going to give 3 stars. So the prep table and the walls are wood, which is great, but there are pieces that are plastic that just shouldn't have been, or at least could have been sturdier plastic, like the rolling shelves. If that had been metal and wood, it would have been amazing. It could have even been just a better quality plastic, and that would have been nice. The raised design on the side of the bakery display case would have popped a bit more if it weren't just one color, a la the Our Generation greenhouse. And I remember the display one in the store had the oven handle broken off pretty early on, so maybe it would struggle to stand up to rambunctious kids. In terms of play value, though, I'm giving it 4 stars. It's got double-sided play, movable pieces like the cart, the prep table, the display case. It makes all of this very flexible. I wish that the drawers on the cabinets were functional, on the display cabinet in the front, I guess. Um, and I also wish that they would come out with some kind of expansion packs like they did with Grace's Bakery, like a little seating area, an extra cart of some kind. I don't know. That said, this was a piece that my daughter would go to play with every single time we went to the Columbus store. Like, she loved pretending that she was making a food. She'd, get the rolling pin and the dough. She'd mix the eggs up, whatever. And then she'd put the dough into the oven and then have me like do a sneaky swap out the dough for one of the final products and tell her, "Oh, the bake time is up. And the oven just dinged." And she would go over and take out whatever surprise I had put in there. I think a tiny functional timer would make this even more fun, but as it is, it already has great play value. And as a bonus, you could easily switch it up and make it a pizzeria or a sub shop or something else if you really wanted. In terms of photography value, I'm going to say 3 stars. This is similar to the coffee shop and the pet boutique in that it needs surrounding walls, or at least the illusion of them, to photograph best. But I will give it a slightly lower score because of the very visible metal brackets on the oven side, and because you can see the vertical gaps where the 3 folding, like, wall pieces meet. And both of those things take away from the realism, even if you do put the set in a dollhouse room. So, yeah, 3 stars. Next up is Melody's Recording Studio. This is still available new. Also, there are currently 8 coming up in my Facebook Marketplace search, but none in my state. So keep that in mind. It could take a while to find it used on Marketplace. It's $250 if you get it new. I got ours online for $40, so keep your eyes peeled. Current prices on Facebook Marketplace ranged from $65 to $150, but $100 was the average. So if you can find one near you, if you keep an eye out for it, you might be able to get it for closer to $100 instead of $250. For quality, I'm going to say 4 stars. The structure is wooden. It has lights. It has several sound effects. The overhead mic is a bit flimsy, but the chair is metal and hefty. Like, I think it's very well made. In terms of play value, I'm going to give it 3 stars. Like, it's a nice set, but I'll be honest, I'm not sure how much children play with it. Let me know in the comments if your child loves this, but do kids enjoy having a doll just stand and sing, especially when they're the ones that have to know the words and do the singing? Because it has a few songs it'll play, but your kids are going to get sick of those same 2 or 3 songs like very quickly. So I don't know. Do they enjoy this as much as they enjoy playing doctors or shops or restaurants? It just feels a bit niche. Not unlike the next item we're going to cover, but let me finish this one first. In terms of photography value, I'll give it 4 stars if you can put it in a room. Otherwise, it's only good for close-ups and very carefully framed shots because you're going to see everything else beyond it, and it's going to ruin the illusion. Size-wise, it's 14 inches deep, 22 inches wide, and 21 inches tall, and the overall rating was 3.5 stars. Next is the American Girl Airline. It is still available new. It is quite pricey at $275. In terms of quality, I will give it 4 stars. I am not wowed by this set in general, but I did want to rate it just on quality of materials, and they're pretty nice. It's mostly plastic, but a wooden plane would have been a bit odd. Um, Lots of little accessories. There are sounds and lights and pre-recorded messages. There's a mix of textures like the chair fabric and paper materials, etc. It's, I would say 3 or 4, but I already said 4, so I'll just leave it at that. I'll be generous because I'm not going to be for the rest of rating this one. In terms of play value, 2. This is not something I would have purchased, so I may not be the best person to judge. But this is super niche. Like, by definition, sitting in a plane is considered kind of boring. Like, captive audience and all that. And then it's literally one tiny section of a plane. No passenger to sit next to your doll. The flight attendant outfit and cart are separate purchases. The doll can't even walk down the aisle to go to the bathroom. There's no in-flight movie. If the doll has curly hair, because of how short this is, when they stand up, their hair will extend beyond the playset. Like, it's short. So really, you just have your doll sit in a chair? I mean, it has a few sounds and lights, and that's cool, and I like that the seat can recline, but I just don't think it's that interesting to play with, especially because it only has one seat. And then in terms of photography value, it's down there. Literally 1 star. It's good for close-ups. There is no illusion that the doll is in a real airplane. None. I cannot overstate this. Um, Size 19 inches deep, 23 inches wide, if you're looking like at the cross section of the plane as the front, and 18 inches tall exactly. So if they've got platforms on, curly hair, a hat, any of that, your doll is extending beyond this thing. There is no illusion that you're really in the plane. 2.5 stars overall. Moving on. Tenney's stage. This is retired, obviously. I found 6 of them on Facebook Marketplace. 3 were complete or mostly complete, and 3 were just shells. When it was new, it was $225, but the 3 complete ones that I found on Marketplace ran between $100 and $125. I think we paid less than $30 for ours. It wasn't complete, but it wasn't a set that I needed to be complete. It had enough that it was totally worth it. In terms of quality of materials, I'm giving it 3 stars. I wish that the seat that goes with the vanity had some fabric. Oh, I forgot to mention that the vanity has lights. Maybe I said that. I don't remember. But yeah, I wish that the seat for the vanity had some fabric on it. I wish that the curtains were a bit longer and wider so that when you close them, they're not like pulled completely taut. It would look more luxurious if it were like, curtains that still had folds when it was closed. And it's definitely better quality than Covey's flimsy stage, which we did not bother getting. But yeah, a few details leave a bit to be desired. In terms of play value, I'm going to give it 4 stars. It is a smallish stage for a production, but it's such a generic stage that kids could play like school presentation or, your doll is performing a violin solo or whatever. They make a lot of instruments. American Girl does. So, like performing a solo. It could be a theater stage, a dance stage, and obviously a band stage. I think that there are just so many ways for kids to play with this, and the vanity and the backstage area open up even more possibilities. I know that Tenney gets a lot of hate, but this is a pretty cool set, and I think it has a lot of play value. For photography value, I'm also going to give it 4 stars. I think that this one is nice because you don't really need a room. You just need one wall that looks good behind the stage. So then you could back up and take pictures and just have this one wall. Um, because a stage could be in a very large area, you wouldn't need to have those other side walls right next to it. You could just assume that they're somewhere beyond the camera. Um, it's also nice because you could take it outside for natural lighting and just have it be an outdoor stage. You could probably do a lot of fun stuff with it with colored lights, flashlights, Halloween lights, etc. I haven't done that myself, but I have found it easy to photograph this set so far. So yeah, 4 stars. In terms of size, it's not very deep, just 9.5 inches. When the 2 side walls are extended all the way out, it's 39 inches wide. Obviously, the more you close them in, it'll get smaller. And it's 23 inches tall. Average score was 3.75 stars. Next is Corinne's bedroom. It is still available new. I know, it's been a while since it was her year, but this thing is still available new. Part of the reason is it's expensive. It's $350. But especially if you get it on sale, and they do put it on sale, they'll put it at 40% off. So I think people should grab it then. Um, I think it's really nice. For quality, I'm giving it 5 stars, which so far I've only done that for Grace's Bakery. This is only the second item I've given 5 stars for quality. I think it's a very nice set. The wood in the fireplace is fake looking as all get out. Yes. But in general, It is sturdy. It's got a lot of nice details, a lot of accessories. It's got sound effects, light, different textures. I love the fuzzy ottoman seat and the teal blanket. Yeah, I think yeah, nothing more to say about quality. I am impressed by it. In terms of play value, 5 stars again. It's a bunk bed. It's a couch. It's a desk. It's a fireplace. It's a chair. It holds your skis. This is not your average bedroom set, that is for sure. Yes, it is pricey, but with the exception of needing a dresser, which it's easy enough to find a cheap one at Michael's, it is pretty dang all in one. So you wouldn't have to buy just the bed and then or you wouldn't be buying just a bed and then have to add all these extra things. Like, it has everything. It's got lights and sounds and fireplace and songs, and I think that any bedroom has great play value. The appeal about this one is that it doesn't require you to buy all that extra stuff, which for the price, it shouldn't, to be fair. In terms of photography, I am giving it 4 stars. I think you could put this in a room, but it would have to be a large room. It's probably easier to put it in a corner and just have the illusion of 2 walls and work around that limitation. I don't have it that way. I have it just with 1 wall behind it. So for me, it's not going to look as convincing. I'm not gonna get that realism because you can see off to the sides that whatever else is, in the room. But if you put it in a corner, I think it would be nice. Um, Size-wise, it's 18 inches deep, 46 inches wide, and about 30 inches tall, which might be the tallest. No, there's another thing coming up that's even taller, but it's pretty tall. And 4 stars average. Next is the American Girl Grand Hotel. It is retired, but I just found 30 listings for either complete or mainly complete ones on Facebook Marketplace. Granted, not all of those are going to be drivable, but 30, this tells me that it shouldn't be too hard for you to find one of these. It used to be $275 new. I got ours in a lot of other big ticket items, so it's hard for me to be certain, but I think it was around $80, maybe 100. Facebook marketplaces, and when I searched just now, range from 40 to 325. The average price was 171, if that's helpful for you. In terms of quality of materials, I'm going to give it 4 stars. There are lots of details in this one, definitely more than the new hotel and spa, which we'll get to. Several extra pillows, reversible window scenes, a working bedside lamp. I like that the bench at the foot of the bed, even though it's, plastic and not super impressive, it has a cloth cushion, that the little plastic basket has a cloth napkin that goes in it. Like, there is a fair amount of plastic in it, but the main structure is wood and it's very sturdy. Barring the loss of pieces, I think it's definitely made well enough to be handed down through several children. So, yeah, 4 stars. In terms of play value, 5 stars. It has a bed, a hairdryer, a phone, a dresser, etc. on one side, so you can play out all your hotel room scenes or bedroom scenes. And then on the other side, you have the lobby and the insinuation of an elevator. Like Grace's Bakery, they sold some fun kind of expansion packs for it. So they had a hotel, like a room service and a bellhop cart as an example of some expansion things. But unlike the plane, you don't need them in order for it to be fun to play with. In terms of photography, I'm only giving it 3 stars. So these are surprisingly not the easiest to photograph because, as massive as they feel, the walls aren't that tall relative to the dolls. So if you step back to try to get the whole room in, you often see the top of the walls and whatever is behind them. Also, there are these super obvious plastic pieces that hold each of the walls together, and there's that same kind of structure for Tenney's stage, but they're less noticeable. For the hotel, I find that they really do take away from the realism of the hotel room. So, only 3 stars for photography, in my opinion. Size-wise, it's 30 inches deep, 35 up to 44 inches, just depending on how you've got it set up in terms of width, and 20 inches tall. 4 stars was the average for that one. Next is Leah's Hut. It is retired, but it can be found in various states of completeness pretty regularly secondhand. I found 13 open but largely complete ones when I just searched, and some with some extras thrown in, and 3 new in box on Facebook Marketplace just now. Price range, it was $395 new, which puts it in the second from the top most expensive category. But like I said, you can find it pretty easily on Marketplace, so it can range. I bought just the shell, like literally none of the innards, just the shell and the roof for $20, and I kind of filled it with my own stuff. But 148 was the average for the used ones on Facebook, and the new inbox ones were all listed at over 350, with 2 of them listed more expensive than retail. So it really depends. I'm putting 2 to 4 dollar signs on this just because I know the price range is so much. Quality of materials, I'm giving it 4 stars. I would give it 5 stars except for the roof. I see a lot of broken roofs with these on Facebook Marketplace. The poles can break. Personally, one of our cats got a hold of the woven material and shredded it, so that sucks, and you can't get the replacement part. Um, mine came with the shower head broken off of it. Like I said, I bought it like very used and bare bones. So that part might not be built to last. I obviously don't know the circumstances surrounding how ours got broken. That said, the base piece is very solid and it comes with a lot of accessories and details. I'm giving it 5 stars in terms of play value. Like I said, I don't have the complete set. I have seen it in person, but I still may not be the best judge. But it has a hammock, a bed, a table and chairs, a fireplace, some animals, some food, and a rare thing for American Girl, a shower. Yeah, there are plenty of goodies to play with this. I think kids would have a blast. Um, For photography value, I'm giving it 4 stars. If you have the roof on, it's hard to get a good picture of a doll laying on a bed up in that, laying down up in that loft bed. But other than that, this is an easy enough item, like as far as big ticket items go, it's easy enough to get it outside and get really authentic looking pictures if you take it outside. Size wise, it's 16 and a half inches deep, 23 inches wide, and this one I believe is the tallest. I don't have the roof on it because the cat messed it up, but I think it's probably about 37-ish inches tall once you have the roof on. If you have it and want to measure and put the correct exact measurement for height in the comments, that would be lovely. Average star rating was 4. Next up is the pool. So one of them is retired, one is available new. The retired one can be found fairly regularly secondhand. There are currently 6 listings on my Facebook Marketplace search, and 2 of them are in my state. It is $110 new, so one of the more affordable, or if not the most affordable, American Girl big ticket item that I have on this list. The old one is often $50 to $70 on Facebook Marketplace. In terms of quality of materials, I'm giving this a mere 2 stars. I think both sets, the older and the newer one, are pretty flimsy and generally unimpressive. The split in the middle of the quote unquote water ruins any illusions that you could have about it even being water. The accessories are a bit underwhelming. And in general, I just think it's cheaply made. Then again, it is one of the cheapest big ticket items that they make, and it's the cheapest on my list. So that makes sense. For play value, I am giving this 1 star. It is one of the weirdest, least functional big ticket items that American Girl has ever made. It is no secret how I feel about this. Um, I changed mine because I felt like it had next to no play value and I wanted more for my daughter. So I will definitely link the video of how I changed mine in the description if you want to watch that. But I have to rate it based on how it's sold. And I just can't get over the fact that they made this design not once, but twice. And the second time, they put a diving board in it. The water is not even an inch deep. So, and anytime that they have featured this is what really ticks me off as a parent. Anytime that they have featured this in stop motions, it is ridiculously misleading. Like they have photoshopped the doll's entire lower half out, and then they put like batting or something around it so that it, or maybe they even cut the doll in half. I have no idea. But they make it look like this doll is underwater. And there's no way that a kid can recreate that look. Absolutely no way. I think it is very misleading, not cool at all. I think most kids would be sorely disappointed unless their idea of pool play is solely lying on top of floaties. And that's it. That said, like I said, if you follow my tutorial and you give this thing an upgrade, it goes from 1 star to 4 easily. I only can't give my version 5 stars because it doesn't hold water and American Girl dolls can't get wet. So, there are going to be limitations to a doll pool no matter what. As far as photography value, I'm also giving it 1 star. My version has great photography value. Check out some of these pictures, but American Girl's original and the new one, they're just silly. Unless you are willing to use Photoshop and make it look like it is an actual in-ground pool, um, no, I don't see. You can take an overhead shot with the doll lying on a floaty, and that's it. And that's not worth paying $110 for me. Depth-wise, 21 inches, width 22 inches, and a whopping height of 1 inch. 2 stars on average. Moving on. The newer hotel, the American Girl Hotel and Spa, is currently available. $325. So the older one was $275 new. This one is more expensive and has fewer accessories, but inflation. So I think that they're priced pretty comparably. I'm giving it 3 stars instead of 4 because in terms of quality, because this hotel just feels a lot cheaper than our first one. It doesn't have any shutters that open on the windows like the older one does. It doesn't have a changeable window scene. It has some fake curtains that are just images on the wall, which I'd rather have no curtains like than fake ones painted on the wall. It has fewer pillows, fewer accessories. It doesn't have a working light or any light on the near the table, near the bed. The base is made out of the exact same material as the other one, but the details just don't measure up to the older version. In terms of um, play value, I gave it 4 stars. In spite of this hotel feeling cheaper in many ways than its predecessor, I think mostly the play value is the same. I gave it 1 less star because this version comes with a lot fewer accessories and it doesn't have any real expansion packs like the bellhop set or the room service set, which maybe it will. Maybe it will come out with those things and that would be great. However, what it loses in material quality and detail, I do think is mostly made up for in play value because they added a bathtub and a toilet. So there you go. Kudos for giving them a crapper. All right. In terms of photography value, I'm giving it 3 stars, which is the exact same thing that I gave the Grand Hotel for the exact same reasons. Size-wise, same exact size, 30 inches deep, 35 to 44 inches wide, depending on how you spread out the walls, and 20 inches tall. The average on the Grand Hotel was 4 stars, but the average on this one is 3. Combination of reasons, a little bit lower on quality or a little bit lower on play value, but also higher on the cost, which drove the overall stars down. Next up, and we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 left. So you are boss if you are still listening to this. This kind of nerdy stuff is fun for me, and I'd been waiting to do it for a while, but it's not everybody's cuppa. So next one is Lila's Stable. It is currently available new. It is $175 just for the stable. If you want the horse, that's another $130, which would bring this thing up to over $300. Quality of materials, 3 stars. Meh. The base is wood, the rest is just plastic. I don't know. I'm not in love with it. The hay is weird I wish it came with a hay bale and wish it came with more parts. It's not that I don't like it. I just feel like if you're buying this new, it feels very sparse for the price. And we got a better price on it, so I'm not bitter about ours, but if I were getting this new, it would feel like just not that much for the price for $175. In terms of play value, I am only giving it 3 stars. And honestly, I'm tempted to give it 2 stars, but I'm being generous. Compared to the Truly Me stable that was recently retired, this is kind of laughable. Like, no gates, no fence, no hay bales. And granted, the older one was a heck of a lot more expensive. But between this one and let's say the Our Generation stable, which is still available for $90, not $175, I would get that one. I would get the Our Generation one in a heartbeat. It's all wood and it has a roof over it. Like, that said, it is easy enough to add pieces from other American Girl or other brand sets to make this one a little bit more interactive, a little bit more interesting and less sparse. But yeah, not overly impressed with it. Um in terms of photography value, I'm giving it 3 stars. It is small enough that it's easy to take outside, but I find it odd that it doesn't have a roof. And I am not a horse person, so I need to know, do structures like this really exist? Like solid walls with no gates and no roof. Is that a thing that people commonly provide for their horses? Again, the old American Girl one and the current Our Generation one both seem much more realistic to me, so those are the ones that I would gravitate toward if I were going to pay full price. We had our own reasons for buying the one that we bought. Size-wise, 24.5 inches deep, 22 inches wide, and at the highest point, it's 16 and a half inches tall. Next is Luciana's Mars Habitat. Retired, I see this, it is retired. I see it periodically, but it's rarely complete on Facebook Marketplace. I did find 18 of them in a search just now, but only 2 are in my state. So maybe that's what I mean is it you might be able to find it. You might be able to find it complete, but can you find it in your state? Um, that's a different question. You're going to have to keep your eyes peeled. It was pretty pricey new. It was $350 new. I paid probably $150 for it used and complete. I bought it in a lot with some other things, so it's hard to know exactly how much, but probably about that. Um, of the 18 listings that I found in Facebook Marketplace, the prices range wildly, like from 60 to 500, but the average price was 200. So I feel like us paying 150 was pretty good. Quality-wise, I'm giving it 4 stars. So this is pretty detailed and it has a lot of accessories and movable pieces. It is so unlike anything that American Girl has done before or since, and I love that. But I will say that we bought ours used and there was no discoloration on the plastic. It has been stored in my basement under a table for a couple of years because we're holding it back for when our daughter's a little older. And I recently noticed that the blue plastic is significantly discolored, like it's yellowed, um, kind of like the TV stand or the entertainment center on the older TV set. Just yellows sometimes, even without exposure to the sun. So that's disappointing, and I'm not sure why that happened. Like, I don't understand the science behind that. But other than that, the only quality issue that I see is that sometimes the curtain, so to speak, like the cloth door thing, sticks on the tracks, and you kind of need to hold it at both the top and the bottom to get it to move more smoothly. In terms of play value, I'm going to give it 4 stars. A lot of accessories come with this. And again, it's so cool that American Girl made this. I can't personally attest to the play value because, like I said, we're holding it back to give to our little one when she's a bit older. But I think that kids who are at all interested in space or NASA will thoroughly enjoy this. It has the potential to tie into so many books and lessons and like reinforce learning and send great empowering messages. Like if I were a science teacher, I would absolutely want this in my classroom. Yes, it is niche, but it is also cool in a way that the airplane wishes it was, and interactive in a way that the swimming pool can't begin to comprehend. And the only downside that I see to it in terms of play is that it's not really able to accommodate a lot of dolls inside it. I think you could put 2 in comfortably, where you could easily fit 4 in Grace's Bakery. And you could have several others just outside of it, maybe studying or collecting samples and extending that play area. So yeah, 4 stars. In terms of photography value, I don't know. 2 stars, 3 stars? Like, I've never really tried to photograph this thing. Let me know in the comments if you have it and you do doll photography, what would you rate it as? I think I'd try to take it outside in a very empty area at night and that the pictures would be cool, but the sucker is big, so that's an undertaking. Otherwise, you can limit yourself to interior shots and close-ups and just make sure that the whatever is wall, like cloth wall, is behind the doll is closed so that you can't see straight through it and see what all is around it. Yeah, let's say 3. Theoretically 3. Dimension-wise, it's like a circular thing, so there's not really, like, depth and width. We'll just say it's 27, the diameter across is 27.5 inches, however you look at it, and the height is almost the same, it's 26.5 inches. Overall, I gave it 3.25 stars. Next is Maryellen's Diner. They have one retired and one available new. I'm going to focus on the one that we have, which is the retired one. Um, it can be found pretty regularly secondhand. So, in terms of availability, either way, whichever one you want, you should be able to get it. Um, Price wise, it's $350 new. If you want the bakery case, then that'll be another $95. I bought the first one used for about 110, and I just found 11 of them on Facebook Marketplace, ranging from $60 all the way up to $300, with 172 being the average. In terms of quality of the materials, I think that both versions of this diner are well made. The plates can be plastic or glass depending on which one you get. The 4 stars because the foods are slightly different between the two. The newer one has lights and sound effects, which I think are really nice. The foods are disappointing on both of them, like not enough details in terms of coloring or texture. If you look at that old picnic grill birthday set, the burger buns, I've mentioned this before, there's just no comparing the two. But the set on a whole is nice. It's got a sturdy table with metal. It's got heavy seating, whether it's the corner booth or the 2 booths, cloth and wood. In spite of the food, I think it's a very nice set and a solid 4 stars in terms of quality. Play value, I'm going to say 4 stars as well. Paper hat and apron, the kitchen area behind, all of that means that you can have cooks and servers and customers. The menus, the stickers, the movable table and booth, whether it's the old or the new version, all make it a little bit more interactive and flexible. I have the old one, but I think the newer one with its light and its phone and its sound effects probably warrants 5 stars. So I'm giving 4 stars for the older one. I would give the new one 5 stars. The stools are small and they don't have any support, but the smart angle design of the counter actually does help the doll stay seated, which you don't get with the Our Generation Retro Diner. I think the dolls can actually stay seated on this in a way that they can't with that one. I already mentioned that the food is underwhelming, but you can supplement or replace whatever food you want. And I love that this does have expansion packs in the form of the jukebox and the bakery case. I'm a big fan of that approach. Double-sided play, it's a very relatable experience of going to a restaurant, so I think that's super appealing. Unlike Blaire's restaurant, the dolls can actually easily sit at this one because the table and the booths aren't ridiculously light and flimsy. And then photography-wise, I'm only giving it 2 stars. And the reason is it looks good if you have walls around it to make it look like it's a legit restaurant, but it's massive. And unlike Melody's recording studio, it can be hard to find a place where your home's walls will look convincing and you've got, you're able to get walls on 3 sides of it. Space wise or size wise, it's 14.5 inches deep, Depending on how you open all the walls and spread them out, it's 38 inches wide up to 47 inches wide. So that's when it would really get tricky to put walls around it. And then 22 inches tall. Then the final one that I'm comparing is Maryellen's Airstream. It is retired. I found 5 just now on Facebook Marketplace, 2 in my state, if that's helpful. New, it was $350. Current prices on Facebook Marketplace range from 275 up to 424 with an average of $315. I got ours for 125, which I can see is a steal. um, I'm giving this 5 stars for quality. It is a solid piece. It's got a lot of sound effects, a retractable awning on the back. It's got a couple of lights, a cloth cushion, real curtains, etc. Of course, it contains plastic, but it is also a heavy, solid, well-made piece. In terms of play value, I'm going to go for 4 stars. On the one hand, it's just a mode of transportation like the plane. So why am I giving this one a better score? Good question, viewer. First, it fits more than one doll. That's huge, right? Comparing it to the plane. Second, it has an awning outside, which invites outside play as well. Third, it has a little food prep area. Also, the table folds up and out of the way, and the bench pulls out to let a doll lay down. So, a lot more flexibility and play possibility. And one thing that really stands out to me is there are so many different sounds on this. There's one that sounds like a train's crossing and you're waiting for it. There's leaves crunching underfoot. There's the sound of mosquitoes, of rainfall, of frogs, of crickets, of morning birds, of evening birds, owls hooting, etc. And I think that the sound effects alone can spark creativity and help kids think of different scenarios and prompt them to build their own travel adventures in their imaginations. The sounds kind of help them decide, oh, it sounds like night, or it must be summer because of the mosquitoes, or prompt them to ask, where are we traveling that we hear the mosquitoes? Or are we out in the country? Is that why we hear the frogs and the crickets so clearly? So I think 4, maybe even 5 stars, but I already gave it 4, so I'm just going to stick with that because otherwise I'll have to redo my math. In terms of photography value, I'm going to give this 5 stars. I think that it is an easy enough one to take outside and it looks so cute. I love the ability to photograph it from the awning side, even like adding a chair or fireplace or a grill or a tent, but also the ability to photograph the interior part while you're indoors. So you can kind of get the best of both worlds. Depth is 23 inches, width is 35 inches, and height is 23 inches. It got an average of 4 stars. So, phew. Like I said, this is not even including Kira's hut, any of our beds, the city market, the kitchen, the ski chalet, the community center pieces, the red car, the Jeep, the bowling alley, the tent, the cafe. Like, oh my gosh. We have a lot of big ticket items, friends. Whew. All right. I'll give you some of the superlatives coming up next. The tallest big ticket item on my list was Leah's hut at over 30 inches. I don't remember how many. And the shortest was Lila's stable at a mere 16 and a half inches at its peak. The deepest were the hotels, both at 30 inches, and the shallowest was Tenney's stage at just under 10 inches. The widest was Grace's Bakery because when it's fully opened, it can take up to 65 inches from left to right. And the coffee shop, I know these are like 2 pieces that you can put side by side or one in front of the other, but if you put them one in front of the other, it's a mere 13 inches. In terms of quality, the 3 that I rated highest are Grace's Bakery, Corinne's Bedroom, and Maryellen's Airstream. And the pool was the one that I scored lowest. In terms of play value, Grace's Bakery, Corinne's Bedroom, the Grand Hotel, and Leah's Hut were among the best, while the pool and the airplane were among the worst. In terms of photography value, the ice cream truck and Maryellen's Airstream were the best, and the pool was the worst, but several 2-star ratings as well, so a few ones at the lower end. Highest overall average score was the Our Generation stable and the Our Generation ice cream truck. The pool, unsurprisingly, had the lowest score. Most and least expensive, Grace's Bakery was most expensive, and several of the Our Generation pieces tied for cheapest. The Our Generation Diner and the Ambulance. And if you're willing to buy them used, even though they're still available new, the Classroom, Stable, and Ice Cream Truck also get added to that list. Last thing in this video are I did this very quickly because I didn't want to agonize over it, but I said, okay, pick five. Pick five that if you're thinking about quality, play value, photography, cost, all of those things, like which five would I? The Our Generation Greenhouse, the American Girl Coffee Shop, Grace's Bakery, Corinne's Bedroom, and Maryellen's Airstream. I don't know if I would stick to these answers if I overthink it, but I'm not overthinking it. There we go. Feel free to add, your top five, which ones you have, what you love most about them, what you find lacking, which ones are tops on your wish list, any of those things in the comments. I really look forward to reading the comments and responding to you. I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much for hanging in on this particularly long video. Take care.